Hello everybody. My name is Wolfgang Bonweiser. I have the honor to moderate this session on urban transport planning and demonstration of sustainable urban mobility solutions. A long title. Just to make it very short, please, all of you, please keep the microphone off and also the video until we have the Q&A session where the speakers then are able to turn it on. And I immediately give the floor to our representative from the Commission, in this case from INEA. It's Octavia Stefan. So she will introduce our topic for this final session before the evening. So, Octavia, the floor is yours. So, I would then start with a question from my side regarding the destinations project. So, Joanna, there was also mentioned business models that you try to look at, and for me, this is also always a quite a crucial issue to come up with appropriate business models that can balance the issue between what, on the one hand side, of course, we want to create business and money, in fact, and on the other hand, we want to guide them into a direction where we achieve our societal goals we have as authorities. So, what was your experience in the Destinations project?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the question. Business models were a very important part from our project, and we were very ambitious regarding business models. We in fact tried to implement a series of business models. One very ambitious was related with the green credit schemes that we tried to implement here in Funchal, in Horários do Funchal, which is the main public transport operator. But it is an ambitious initiative that the main goal is to bring together, to attract more passengers to public transport. As you know, over the last years, public transport have been losing passengers, including tourists. So we saw on this green credit scheme an opportunity to attract more passengers to public transport by giving them incentives, discounts, and benefits. At the beginning, we started by setting a complex solution, but following the years of the project, we understood that the solution was too complex, and we had to choose by another approach. And we defined a simpler solution by establishing partnerships with local businesses, and this worked extremely well. We were able to raise several local businesses that are right now our partners, and they provide discounts to public transport users. This was a business model that we are testing now, and surely we will expand our network. And once the COVID-19 situation is gone, we believe that we will bring more passengers to the public transport, and also we believe that also the local economy can benefit from this. So it is actually a win-win strategy. We public transport operator win from one side by having more public transport users, but also the local economy can have a boost.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Very good approach. My next question is on the Eccentric project. So on Angel. For me, the question would be did you check about the transition potential of your solutions in both directions? Within the cities, you already put the measures and implemented the measures, but also, of course, to other cities. So in both dimensions.
Thank you for the question, Wolfgang. Yes, actually, that was one of the specific work packages that were included in the project, all the replication aspects of the measures. So let's say at the city level, I would say it is basically in some cases the appropriate context was the revision of the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan. It is at that moment that you have a unique opportunity to expand your measures, your pilot measures, and to move them forward to other places in the city. Then in terms of transferring concepts from one city to another, well, we had a number of followers in the project, and some of them were implementing this and that. I would mention a couple of examples. For example, first one is the micromobility hub that was primarily developed in Munich. That proved to be very successful there, and many cities were interested in replicating. So that I would say that was a real winner in terms of popularity among our followers. Probably it is easy to implement because, well, you just adjust the different, you have to adjust to whatever you have in the place you want to establish your micro hub. Then this is coming at a time of new technologies like micromobility, also the expansion of car sharing. So this is a very good ecosystem for that kind of design. And then finally, it is very good in terms of tailoring the solution to the needs of the residents, so that you enter a dialogue with the final users. So that was the first one, and then for the second one, it was more. I would say it was all kinds of expansion of electromobility. I would say that many cities are hungry to know how to speed up electrification. And so any kind of measures regarding the expansion of electric fleets, electric buses, or expansion of charging stations were also very popular among our followers.
Okay, thank you for that. I will, for first round, skip the Portis project, as I was informed Mike has some technical problems. So we immediately jump to the Momentum project. Xavier, you mentioned that you established some clusters in OD matrices. Also from my studies, this is a very interesting issue. Did you thought about that these kind of clusters are also or have the potential to build up some kind of city labels or kind of city types, so that you can also use them in some way at least to identify transferability of measures. What I mean is usually it is quite complicated or it is quite difficult to say in advance if you have a successful measure in one city, to transfer it to another city. Because, of course, every city is in some sense specific, but it would help to have some kind of typology or things like that, or even clusters. And probably an OD matrix cluster could be such a tool or such an identifier which cities are in, at least in some core transport issues, quite similar. So did you thought about this issue?
Yeah, exactly. I think it has also a lot of potential, because many of the new mobility services we are seeing in our cities may be suitable for a specific profile of city. For instance, we can see some solutions having some kind of successful stories in large cities, but perhaps are not that suitable for medium-sized cities, or some cities that perhaps hosts a lot of tourists, as the Civitas Destination project focuses, may have specific needs that the other cities may not have, and this can be seen through the data. Actually, the main challenge to this is, rather than the techniques for analyzing data, is to have access to to data in all the cities we want to analyze, because the data availability situation is very different from one city to another. And that's something that we expect to this probably will improve in the next years, because more and more data sources are global now. Probably in this decade, we will see much higher access to GPS data sources from mobile devices, or other kind of big data sources. And this will be an opportunity not only to analyze the situations of each city, but also for comparability, for doing a comparison among them. Because for the first, perhaps at the end of the decade, we will have the same data source for all the cities, at least in Europe, for instance. And this will have a lot of potential, as you said. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. Yeah, I also, if Maike probably technically cannot manage it, I would like to encourage you to just give me an answer also in the chat, and I will try to repeat it for the entire audience. For me, of course, in Portis, what is quite interesting, and I have to say I'm from Vienna, so in Austria. Of course, we also have ports, but at small harbors compared to what you have in your cities. What makes all the meshes you made? Because the meshes were very interesting and looked really successful. But I can imagine at least most of these meshes also in all other cities. So beside what the water bus issue, what are really specific measures or specific parts or takeaways for cities which have large ports, out of your lessons learned, out of your experience you gained in the Portis project? So please, if you just answer it in one of the conversation chats, I will just repeat it for the audience. In the meanwhile, I have one question, and which is a bit, corresponds a bit to all the projects. Probably all projects can have an answer from their perspective. In most of the cases where you have, especially if you deal with new apps, with incentives, with information, with data collection, and so on. At least what we also experience in our project is usually you have the problem that you have well-established applications, well-established information chains. I definitely have to mention it. You usually compete with Google in terms of getting the access to the users. What is your experience with that? What is your solution? Probably what at least I don't expect that you have 100% success in that, but what is your, probably you have a kind of secret tip for us, how to get more attached to the final users, probably also with the help of these international companies and so on. So yeah, once again, I would start with destinations. So Joanna.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question, and we in fact we struggled with that because destinations implements innovation, and it has a series of innovative mobile apps. And I think that one way to go further, and that point is you have the opportunity to engage directly with your customer, so you can develop, or you can have mobile apps more adapted to your customer. So if you have a Google app or a well-known app, it is general. So if you have the opportunity to develop the app accordingly to your customer needs, so there you have an advantage. Mm-hmm. I would say that that's the tip that I would give away.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Angel, how is your experience with Eccentric?
Yeah, we had some measures in which we were implementing different data platforms for mobility as a service concepts. I would say that one possibility, one approach, or one strategy is to say, well, we put on the table all the information that the public authorities already have, and public transport authorities have a lot of information in terms of their customers. So it is kind of sharing. Well, so that those kind of companies may be more interested in partnering with public transport authorities or municipalities if there is that kind of mutual sharing. So that was the approach in our case. It was partially successful, sometimes not, because this is a starting, and then there is, I think, some people overvalue the value of the data they actually have and prefer not to keep it, well, when in fact I think they are absolutely wrong. So I think this is also a mutually learning process. But I think the public, generally the public sector has a good bargaining position for trying to exchange data. Second thing on this is that we also learned that thanks to these new technologies or these new capacities, you get rid of a lot of burden, and you have resources that you can now dedicate to other things, and particularly to get information and to get interaction with vulnerable groups and with excluded social groups. They are not in those. They are generally invisible when you go to GPS data, or Javier mentioned that, I think. And I think that they are our focus, but in our cities, that they should be our priority. So I think we should not take this as an opportunity to not to care about these people and just to focus on high income and medium income people that are the ones that are present in those databases. But on the contrary, we should benefit that we will no longer need to make extensive household service, spending millions of euros, and we can dedicate that to focus groups, to going to places, and to try to get also the perspective of excluded social groups.
Mhm. Okay, so I once again jump over Portis to momentum. So, Xavi, what is your answer to this question?
Yeah, our case is a bit special because our end users are actually transport planners or managers rather than directly citizens. But still, we try to apply similar approaches to the ones that Angela and Joanna were saying. In our case, for instance, we want to focus in this second stage of the project on developing tools, visualization tools, and so on, that make easy for transport planners and managers to use models, because most of the times the problem with models, especially with those that are complex or that want to include new functionalities, is that they are hard to apply beyond academia, because in many institutions there are no enough resources or skills to run these models and so on. So we want to focus on developing tools that are at the same time simple and at the same time also meaningful, to make transport planners more ready to cope with all these new modes that are appearing in our cities.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. So then I go to Portis, and just about Mareike's answer to this data availability and dealing with the international companies. Her answer is with data, the trick is to start from the behavioral change you hope to achieve. Then it becomes obvious that the big players like Google are not in the game to achieve more sustainable mobility. So you have to come up with digital alternatives, and you have to try to find intermediary parties, so route planners or automotive partners that benefit from these alternatives. Yeah, that's a very good answer also. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, of course, the answer to my previous question, which was on what part or what measures are specific to cities with ports. And Marika's answer is all the measures were part of a comprehensive program set up between the port and the city, focusing on 4 aspects: governance, people stakeholders, the transport system, both physical and digital, and the freight system. Yeah, I see there are some issues that are very how to say port city specific. So thank you for that. We still have 5 minutes left. Still no other questions, so I would go with I would still use these 5 minutes. How to say for a bit a standard question these times, but still I would say in quite an interesting issue. Of course, how did you cope with the COVID situation? Not only from a project point of view, of course, there are a lot of management issues, but especially focusing on the measures. So what did you do there? Were there problems, opportunities? And yeah, please, we only have 5 minutes. So yeah, please, 1 minute per project. So once again, let's start with destinations project. Joanna, are you still available?
I'm sorry, I had a technical problem. I had to switch computer. I asked another project to start because I didn't hear the question.
Okay. So just very short. It was how the project dealt with the COVID crisis, but not from a management perspective, but from a perspective of the measures that you implied in the project. So yeah, then let's start with Eccentric. Angel.
Well, at the time of the COVID crisis, most of our demonstrations were already finished. So, it was some kind of additional research question for us. What has changed now that people is not moving that much and that the priorities are changing even? We made some kind of round about, among the different 50 measures, and in general, we thought that, well, I think that this kind of differences in changes in priorities prove first that most of our measures were resilient in the sense that they made sense also under the new situation. The freight delivery or electrification of safety analysis, all that kind of it was making sense also for walking, cycling, mobility as a service, because we were focusing now on, we were tailoring to the new necessities, the services that were provided. So it was good news in that sense. Our sustainable solutions are also resilient to a changing context. And then second thing, I would say, well, it also proved again that we need to put vulnerable groups at the center of our planning, because the people that were needing mobility were not the people that are enjoying nice jobs like all of us, which most of us were telecommuting, and were our only regret was probably that we were not flying that often or at all. So it was on the contrary, it was those people in so-called essential works, which is paradoxical, essential and poorly paid works, jobs. It was those people that were needing to move around, to move safely, and yeah.
I have to stop you because otherwise the other project. So let's jump. Yeah, let's jump to Xavi. What is your experience with the COVID and the related issues?
Yeah, for us it's very similar to what Angel was explaining. It has worked as a natural experiment actually, because we could see the impact on mobility patterns in some of the longitudinal data sources we are collecting. And for instance, we can have now the data of February and March 2020 is very interesting for identifying identifying early trends in mobility patterns and actually for develop algorithms capable of identifying early trends in these patterns. For instance, we saw a reduction of leisure trips already in the second half of February 2020, showing an initial reaction. And then we also can measure the differential impact of teleworking in different neighborhoods in relation with the comment of Angel about inclusiveness and so on.
Okay, thank you very much. So 30 seconds, Joanna.
Okay, so COVID-19 really had really had an impact on destinations because we are touristic islands, so we don't have tourism. We have very few tourism, so we have been struggling to, for example, to evaluate our measures. We had a significant impact on implementation of some measures. So we were supposed to end the project today, but we are going to end in 6 months due to the COVID. So we had to ask for an extension, and we will keep working on some measures and evaluation.
Okay, thank you very much. So we just have 15 seconds left. Two things. Just to say thank you on all the speakers, all the presentations. You also have the answer from Maike in the chat. And please, there is a session that explains all the three sessions that were parallel right now. Just click on back to the lobby. This explaining session will start right now. Just click on the back to the lobby. Thank you for all the listeners. Bye bye. And
Thank you.
thank for all the presentations. Bye
Thank you
bye.
very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye.